All right, so I would like to welcome our first keynote speaker, Cynthia Yoon Kim, founder and CEO with Cynpin, and she will be opening a wonderful topic with today, that is the inception of AI. Is it harmful or not? Can we have a big round of applause and have her on the stage?
All right, I'll just go on the stage here. It's a small enough event. Alrighty, good morning, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here. I was here last year, same time, representing TikTok. But today, I'm thrilled to be back this time around representing my very own company. But I'm more so excited to be able to connect with each and every one of you. It seems like from the introductions that you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of important work that you do, of course, within IT. So I would love to be able to learn from all of you as well. So just a little introduction about myself. I'm Korean Canadian. As I mentioned earlier, glad to see another fellow Canadian in the house. Where is your home actually in Canada? Montreal. Okay, so my home is Vancouver, Canada. So west side. So I think West Coast is the best coast. So we can fight about that later. Yes, so we can move on to the next slide. Oh, sure. Oh, perfect. Yes, thank you. Yes, so a little introduction about myself. My home is Vancouver, and I moved to Singapore 10 years ago. And I started my very first startup, technology startup called Venurific. So Venurific is an event marketplace. So sort of like Airbnb, but for events. So we list different venues like hotels, like, Shangri-La, Ritz-Carlton, and we serve different customers from companies like Facebook, Rolls-Royce, UBS, you name it, what kind of spaces that they're looking for their own team bonding events and so forth. They come to our website to book it through our platform. And we also have a CRM solution to service these companies as well, to be able to do their remarketing and so forth. So I did that for about quite a while. And I'm fortunate to say it started as a 2-person team, including myself, but we were able to bring it up to around 200,000 visitors per month at this point across 5 different countries in Asia, including Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Philippines, and Indonesia. So after Venurific, I dipped my toes in the corporate world at ByteDance, which I'm sure you're all familiar with for its poster child, TikTok. So after TikTok, from startup to scale up, I have now found my sweet spot with Cynpin. So Cynpin is not your ordinary marketing consultancy firm, but it's one that truly embraces helping a lot of small, medium businesses to be able to embrace AI in the way that they do marketing. So just a little bit background about me. Basically, forget all these accolades, but what I'm trying to get here is that I come from marketing and sort of having learned generative AI through different schools that I'll be touching on more today. So I think we do a lot of work of technology and AI within the work that you do from what you mentioned in your introductions. But I think it's important to take a step back and see how it's actually changing the way that we do things and how it's changing the way that you do implementation for the clients as well from the work that you did way before. So starting with 1983, when the internet was born, people had a lot of questions about, hey, what is this internet? There were a lot of questions over its utility, potential for misuse, and even privacy as well. And then there came the iPhone when Steve Jobs introduced the first generation of the iPhone in 2007, 17 years ago in San Francisco. People said Apple reinvents the phone. And look at us today, around 30% of the entire population of the world uses iPhone. And then there came the internet, the iPhone, and then the lifestyle that we have today, which is the subscription world, so software as a service. And obviously it was questioned for its data security and so forth. But change is daunting, but at the same time, that's how we actually cross the chasm, as Jeffrey Moore calls it. It leads to mass market adoption after going through different early adoption phase, early majority phase, late majority, and then that's when actually you're actually late behind the progress of adopting the new technology that we see today. So let's make it a little fun. It's sort of like trying out a new dinner party recipe before it becomes something that is of your favorite by your friends and your family. You must have had early adopters to have had tried it, tested it, and can validate it as well. According to McKinsey, AI adoption has more than doubled over the past 5 years, and it will only continue to increase this year alone by 18% compared to last year, which was about $200 billion worth of spending. So it will only continue to increase, but it's still facing a lot of negative reaction as well. And I feel like this slide is not as applicable to the audience because I feel like all of you know what generative AI is. But we all know that it is a subset or a set of deep learning where it's able to do a lot of complex pattern processing as if it's like a human brain and be able to generate a lot of natural language processing model, right? Like speech, text, images, videos, and so forth. So I do want to play this video because maybe the audience here hasn't had the chance to watch AI being implemented more through marketing content, which might be quite new for you. So let me try playing this video if I can. This. I might need your little help here. Yeah. Not working? All good, all good. Don't worry, if you're curious about the video, just come to me after. But basically, this video on Twitter or X went viral with millions of views and with thousands of comments. The reason being is that there's this French digital marketing agency that hired her just purely for her images and then used her images to turn it into a video where it fed the script in terms of trying to promote a deodorant brand. And this video is so realistic that the online world went crazy over it because she is basically creating a content within the marketing realm called user-generated content, where it looks like a natural sort of thing in the video as she's in the car talking about something that she uses all the time. And then it creates a lot of natural engagement because it seems like she's just doing it, not out of intention to try to sell the product, but because she truly values the product, right? So just wanted to share this video because it really shows what kind of content marketing that we'll be looking at more going forward in terms of incorporation of generative AI. And something funny as I was preparing for this, I told ChatGPT to try creating a haiku about today's topic to see it can actually understand that it could be harmful. And it came up with generative minds, crafting truth or weaving lies, balance in our hands. So it really speaks to the kind of message I'm trying to convey today, which is that it's truly up to us on how we use generative AI. And if we really leverage it to our advantage, then we can create a true solid bridge between us and them to create a bridge, like a sort of like a left and right brain working really well together, like a 50-50. There was someone here in the audience who mentioned OpenAI, who might be a better expert at answering this question. But at this point, I want to pause and ask you, how much data do you think OpenAI trained ChatGPT with? Anyone who may know the answer, perhaps? D, 30 million. Actually, it's 1 million, which is surprisingly not as much, but I think this is the first version that it trained with. But basically, what I'm trying to share here is that it's wanting to create technology with, investing money and building it, where I think a lot of you are implementing such technology into different companies. But it's also another to sustain it. So supposedly, OpenAI spends $700,000 USD on a daily basis to sustain the software as well. So as we can clearly see, we're currently at a tipping point, at least not within the deep implementation stage, but at the front when it comes to the funnel for this marketing and the sales team to really apply it into the practice at work. So we're currently with between early adopters and early majority phase, and we're leading, and the momentum is shifting more towards the mass market adoption at this point in time. So some of the use cases that we can see with ChatGPT, for instance, or or generative AI is, for instance, is with Bloomberg. So Bloomberg created the Bloomberg GPT, the world's first financial data search and insights generation platform. And by spending over $2.7 million within a span of over only 53 days, they were able to input decades worth of financial data to create this platform to perform a lot of financial tasks. And in the medical realm, Google created MedPalm. MedPalm is truly remarkable because it answers a lot of high quality questions or detailed questions that's really on par with doctors. So if you see an example here on the right, you can even upload a photo of a chest x-ray photo and be able to have the system detect sightings of concerns. This is one thing to look at it on a more advanced technology level, but what I think this speaks volumes of is the fact that it can give accessibility to the kind of population that doesn't have access to medical help so easily. So it speaks volumes as to not just implementation, but the kind of societal value that it can bring as well. So, but for a small, medium business that doesn't really necessarily have the funds to start on incorporating generative AI, this is where Cynpin actually comes in. So one of my clients is actually Property Bank. Property Bank is a commercial property brokerage firm in Asia. They've been around for 15 years. They're a very well-established company, and they serve different clients like a lot of the global tech companies to be able to source for office spaces or even data centers. And what they really needed help with, even though it's so established, is to be able to increase its brand value and also to save cost. The brand value being real estate is a very competitive industry. I think here in Dubai as well as in Singapore, properties are very expensive. And there's a lot of companies like Seville's or CBRE, Cushman, that she's fighting against. And she really wanted to increase her value of the business and the company valuation by incorporating generative AI. So I'm not just talking about incorporating the technology to solve business problems that I think a lot of you are technically doing, but it's more so also to bring the branding and the marketing value of the company up as well. So this is where I came in to create the custom natural language optimization 1.0 at our team. So what we do is basically, overall online, we're overwhelmed with so much content, whether it's photos, videos, and so much more coming along from generative AI. So the kind of content that will speak volumes when you go on Instagram or Facebook will be the kind of content that really synchronizes very well with working with generative AI in being able to produce content that speaks the DNA of your brand story. So this is where Cynpin comes in to consult on marketing AI implementation as well. So creating a lot of system prompts as well as user prompts that the company can use to be able to create more role-based sort of marketing manager, your very own marketing manager that you can use virtually. But one industry, I think at this point, you can all tell that I'm very much for AI, and I think that's why we're all here as well, but maybe not. There's going to be some issues and challenges addressed, like the ethics component. And I think that also applies to one industry in particular, like the art world. There's a lot of questions over, hey, who defines good art? What defines good art? And will the creators be compensated fairly as well? And there's even that lawsuit with Getty Images against Stable Diffusion, for instance, right now. And it also highlights a lot of the complex copyright challenges that we'll be seeing more and more going forward. And I think some of the more common challenges, as you know, hallucinations, right? Based on not enough data, messy data. So I would love to hear and learn from any one of you who is speaking today more on how we can manage data better to avoid hallucinations. Bias is also another thing as well. I'm not sure if you've considered, but let's say for on the online world, there's not enough views of underrepresented population or races that are being discussed online. So it's something that a lot of us really talk about within the marketing realm as well. Attribution is another thing in terms of plagiarism and of being able to avoid that and increase fact checking between us and AI. So this all leads me to say what we create is all up to us on being able to leverage AI to create that sturdy bridge between us and the platform. All right, thank you so much. So this is my QR code for LinkedIn, but it's a small enough crowd. I think we can all meet in person later on. So look forward to catching up with every one of you. And if you have any questions on Asia or Singapore, feel free to come my way as well. All righty, thank you so much.
So can we have a big round of applause for Cynthia? So can we have a question? So floor is now open for questions. So anyone having questions from her? Anyone? All right.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
You were talking about crossing the 18% of users to get the traction. So how do you scope the 18% of the users, basically like to first adapters, then the initial crowd, and then the adapters as well as the people who are interested in the technology, and then how do you know that this is the number that let's say 100,000 is the scope, or is it 500,000, is it 1 million? How do you scope that? And how do you know that you're past that threshold?
Wow, that's a very big question. So the concept of crossing the chasm was brought together by Geoffrey Moore. So it's an actual methodology in the way we've seen how societies actually adopt technology. So it's not based on what I think, to be honest, but from what I shared earlier, it starts from early adopters, right? And then all goes to late majority, where you're going to be behind in adopting the technology. But in that point between before you become the late majority, what Geoffrey Moore really states is the actual impact that it can be measured based on the percentage of adoption across how immersive it is incorporated within the different businesses and industries. So I don't think it's up to me, but from what we see through society and the different use cases of different companies and how they adopt so immersively, that you can see the numbers, whether it's cost and time and access, the three key factors that he mentions that can really be seen as going down or going up. So cost going down, time being increased in terms of the time that you're saving, but also the accessibility for the people to be able to access within the organization to adopt the technology. So yes, thank you, Geoffrey Moore.
All right. So can we have? Okay.
Thank you, Cynthia. Very nice presentation, nice contents with visuals. You have been interacting with the customer, right? And there are a lot of, we speak about the AI, right? So, when you interact that, you need to educate the customer what AI is and how it can solve the problem. So that's again is awareness, and often is a challenge. So can you throw some slides when you interact with the customer, how make first aware of the AI, then get the problem student, then to work on to solve the problem. So your thoughts?
Oh, I really like this question. It's because it's exactly what I go through, because I deal with a lot of customers who don't understand the value of it, other than the fact that, oh, we're going to be left behind if we don't use it or implement it within our business. So what I really do is I come in first and then understand about their business, and then actually highlight the different pain points, and of course do different analysis and practice branding exercises with my client, and then actually see how we can improve the business pain points using AI. So for instance, Property Bank that I mentioned earlier, what we're actually working towards right now as a 2.0 project with them is to actually create a chatbot within Property Bank. So imagine the chatbot is able to generate based on someone who is looking for a commercial property, they put in different requirements. And based off of all the information online through Property Bank and different agents and different success case studies of the agents, it's able to provide and connect with the person who is looking for the commercial property investment. So it's very much generative and very much automated. And I think the light bulb just went in her head because it will save her not only time, but also cost, and also be able to access a lot more customers who are looking for such commercial properties as well. And it increased the branding value. So I think a lot of the companies want to bring their valuation up, and she's looking to, let's say, exit her business, then she will need to incorporate something different to make her company edgier. So yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah.
All right, so do we have any more questions? A very interesting topic. Yeah.
Hi there, Cynthia. Thanks a lot
Hi.
for your overview. It was very, very interesting. I just had one question. You might not be able to answer it, but I'm just interested to hear your view. To do with plagiarism and misusing a brand utilizing AI, right? That could be a big impact to your clients. For example, that deodorant brand that you mentioned, if someone had brought up the same deodorant brand utilizing the AI images and said that deodorant brand was very terrible, that could look very, very badly for that deodorant brand. So what's your strategy in going into some of your clients in terms of combating the misuse of artificial intelligence, of how it could be misused and build up a poor reputation for a company? How would you combat that misuse of AI?
That's a very good question. And you know what? I think if I solve that problem, I could be, I don't need to be here. I'll be just like flying with my, yeah, but no, just kidding. I think because before AI in the traditional realm, like let's say a TikTok, right? When we're actually analyzing poor reputation or poor PR and stuff like this, we will work with branding or media monitoring companies like Brandwatch and so forth. So it's very easy for us to detect any poor mentions of TikTok across different media. And any negative sentiment we'll be able to detect from which country, who is saying what, okay, it brought this much value down. But within AI, it's definitely not controllable. So it's something that I think, that's why I think I work with small, medium businesses who actually don't have as much media presence yet. So we have a lot of room for us to play with, but obviously with more famous brands and bigger companies, I think it will take even extra manpower and more implementation across AI, and maybe creating a more optimization engine prompt that you can create and engineer for you to even detect that maybe on a weekly basis or daily basis. So I think you have to use AI to detect poor usage of AI is how I see it, yeah.
All right. Okay, one more questions? Okay, two more.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
Sorry, hello? Can you hear me? Yep. My question was like, I can understand in the B2C situations, right? The marketing and the use of AI in the marketing and branding. How do you handle it in B2B situations? I mean, what's the user case B2B situations?
Yes. So as I mentioned before with Property Bank, so commercial, it's a very much a B2B space as well. So for companies like, let's say, Facebook or Google, they're looking for data centers, then they would come to Property Bank and consult with them. So basically, it would solve a lot of this case with AI because it's able to provide personalized recommendations within their platform to be able to service their needs as well. So I think that could be, to be honest though, real estate is a very much still a traditional space. So they like that human-to-human interaction to show the spaces. So that part obviously cannot be solved with AI. But I think at least beforehand, to be able to filter out those who are much more in need of those spaces can be covered with AI and being able to provide more personalized recommendations.
All right, thank you so much, Cynthia. Do we have a question from you? Okay. Give it to me.
Thank you, Cynthia, for the presentation. So you've mentioned earlier that you are focusing more on the small and medium companies or organization. What kind of data do you usually ask your, because we know AI is all about data. So let's say I'm a customer and I want your help. What kind of data you're asking me to provide, or you gonna help me to find out that data?
That's also a very good question because I face that challenge with Property Bank right now as well. when I came in, their data was everywhere, Google Drive or all these different platforms. So my job, actually, when I first come in, is to look at data across all the different channels that they're in, and to be able to analyze each of the data in each of the channel, and to basically, it's like a mind map within my brain as well, to be able to connect the dots and see how AI could be implemented to solve the problems. So you're definitely right. I think messy data, not enough context, and all of these things are the biggest problems that the small, medium businesses face. And there's definitely a gap there in terms of what we can do for them. Yeah.
All right, so last question. Give it to her.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hi.
Nice hearing about your presentation and all. I just wanted to add certain things. When I heard someone speaking about misuse of Gen AI and the content, like the images and everything, and you added some of the points. So if I may, I'll just add some points and validate if you're facing the same thing. So I think one of the important aspect of handling that hallucination is to use a very siloed Gen AI component, which is only focused to few tasks as a POC or a very small pilot phase. Because the way we are seeing from an angle, so because when I speak from cybersecurity, it's a packaged project when we go with Gen AI developers, the machine learning developers, marketing, everyone comes together to make a Gen AI product available to a customer, right? So one thing which we have seen is that don't keep it too open or make it very siloed to a particular set of tasks and see the backdoor entries. One of the things is like fingerprinting your content, which is generated by your Gen AI tool at the source, so that when the content is in the market, even for the branding and everything, then if another Gen AI tool tries to hallucinate you or do a kind of a chaining of that, then the hallmark is a very easy way to detect by some of the cyber threat intels. Because today in the market, whatever the cyber threat intels that you see in the market, they are using machine learning. The base is machine learning and deep learning to understand where the hallmarking is coming. Now things will evolve, but this is my perspective of saying that how can you just start with small and have your Gen AI tool focused only for a set of activities rather than just spreading it. And look for hallmarking it or tagging at the source, so that any other AI tool, if they try to hallucinate or misuse or do a chaining and misguide you, there is a way to detect the actual source and the hallucinated. So that's still in progress, but this is happening in silos, okay? Because every company, every tool in the market is not very confident to keep it open, because if you make it available like hallmarking as in general, okay, so it becomes like a again exploitable tool by the other companies. So it's like too much thing, but keep it small, do a focused activity on the Gen AI, try to do a hallmarking at the source. So a cyber threat intel tool can detect at some point. I just wanted to share.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I would love to talk to you more about that later.
All right, absolutely, you'll get a time. So can we have a big round of applause for Cynthia for a wonderful session and plethora of questions for her. So
I would like to invite Ms. Mitali to give certificate of participation to Cynthia. Can we have a huge round of applause for Cynthia, our keynote speaker? Thanks, Cynthia, for the wonderful session and great insight